There I was, watching the credits to Paper Mario The Origami King. After not playing the game up until now, despite being a huge fan of the series, but to realise why it took me so long to get to this point, we must first go back. March 2016, a tough year in general for both gaming and pop culture. During the Nintendo Direct, they casually dropped the next game in the Paper Mario series. At the time, my involvement with the series was 64, which was the first RPG I'd ever played through and finished, as well as Sticker Star, which at a young, non-thriller age I thought was alright, but quickly realised how it deviated so much from the series. The community really let itself be known at this point. I would watch countless videos on how the series went downhill, the Mario Mandate, and how Miyamoto stripped the series of its core as an RPG with unique characters and stories. During the long drought of the Wii U, I had caught up with the series, playing Super and the Thousand Year Door. The release of Color Splash came and went. I enjoyed the game as a one and done experience. Some of the humour, and especially the visuals being the first HD release, looked amazing back in 2016. It was in a way more Sticker Star, and seeing the series for what it became, I could realise why it was an issue, but as an action-adventure game, it was harmless. Kinda gave the game the benefit of the doubt and moved on. Color Splash came and went, and the series discourse grew more and more rapid online. 2020 comes along, similar to 2016, morale is very low, people are indoors, communities are more active than they have ever been, and second-hand game prices are ruined forever. One day, a shadow announcement on Twitter for the next Paper Mario game gets dropped. I remember being excited, but as news trickled in before launch, and negativity began to spread on the images in particular of the audience and party members, I found myself wanting to keep my distance more and more from the series, on top of the community hate being at full force. Looking back, I should have stayed off social media, but that is way easier said than done. I could understand the fans' frustration at this point, and seeing a third game attempt the same style kinda felt somewhat hypocritical since Miyamoto was quoted saying that the prototype, before the series changed, looked too much like the Thousand Year Door. But to be honest, this whole story has been beaten to death, and it isn't the focus of this video, just relevant to the retrospect and my headspace at the time. So just like that, I took a step back and got into other RPGs, the genre that this series had introduced me to. An announcement no Nintendo fans saw coming. The Switch era has been a huge refresh for Nintendo. They really felt like they were starting to come back to their core audience, with games like Breath of the Wild being a bold new step at the time, and Mario Odyssey bringing back the sandbox formula, along with the return of many dormant beloved series. This was it. This was Paper Mario's turn to win back its core fans. Another amazing sign was them getting back with Square Enix to remake the game that created this whole series, Super Mario RPG. Something was definitely happening behind the scenes. Were they actually starting to listen? So that brings us to today. The Thousand Year Door remake was amazing, with no altered toad design in sight, all the beauty was preserved and made to look better than ever before. But where does this leave the series now? After finishing the remake, I wanted to take a look at what I was missing. Was I wrong about my preconceived notions on the Origami King? Well, I just got to the credits, and for the first time with this series, I feel like the future is brighter than ever. Before I get through my analysis and thoughts, just wanted to mention a cycle I've noticed when it comes to game series. A good example is Super Mario 3D World. When that game got revealed and released, it was kind of hinted for being another linear Mario game, being too similar to 3D Land. But when Odyssey came along and the game was ported to Switch, opinions on that game seem to have shifted. Now they feel listened to. More people are looking back and realizing that these games aren't as bad as they thought. Outside of the Mario series, Sonic Unleashed and Pokemon Black and White had similar shifts by their fan bases, but that has become somewhat of a meme since it gets brought up a lot within those communities. I feel like Origami King's legacy will be similar to this, especially since the remake to the Thousand Year Door being out has had fans feeling listened to and fulfilled. Okay, starting up with Origami King. It's the third entry in the Papercraft series, where the world and all the characters are made out of paper in the literal sense. Unlike the first three, where it was rarely brought up and felt more like Mario RPG with the sprites and world. The big threat is origami, being folded. You travel to 5 worlds, destroying the streamers that have blocked Peach's castle to confront Prince Arlo and save the day. Simple stuff, but similar to the previous games, it's the smaller stories that happen in between that the series is known for. Some explanations are fairly lightly touched on. You get this ability called the Thousand-Fold Arms, which really doesn't have an explanation. You can just sort of fold his arms like that, and you collect these elemental beings called the Elementals along your journey, which just sort of exist. The puns are back from Sticker Star and Color Splash, and gotta say, some of these are pretty good. Want to fast travel? That's clever, like fast travel. What else is there? I'm a bomb, not a bonbon. Okay, alright. Cheers, Mario, that was a right swing of the old hammer, innit? Wait, Roadman Toad? I think where this game has its biggest detractors is in the battle system. This is the part where I try to explain this game's battle system. The series' roots is in RPGs. Turn-based combat, the first two games, and Super Mario RPG, with a similar time-based system. You would choose a move to deal damage and at the right time to deal even more damage. There's also FP. Think like an EX move in a fighting game. You could buff a move by spending meter to deal more damage, and Thousand Year Door would completely refine these mechanics, adding safeguards, which are essentially parrying and style moves. Build meter by timing an extra button input, and this would appeal to the crowd. You could use the special move, screen wiping attacks that deal loads of damage. In each of these three games, after a level up, you could choose between leveling up HP, FP, or BP. This really made runs unique and would show up in other games and be even more in depth like Dark Souls and Elden Ring. People love this kind of customization, which brings us to the Origami King. And it's gone. No leveling up, no new moves outside the scripted developmental attacks, and I still haven't even mentioned the ring. Okay, the ring. So this thing, think a puzzle game. You have to line up enemies in a specific pattern, and you are granted buffs. I don't think the idea is terrible, it just doesn't have the longevity to keep up with the game's runtime. You don't have any significant new moves, and what you're doing is the same nearly every time. And I'm sorry, but how is a newcomer supposed to get accustomed to this? On top of all that complexity, you have an added time limit breathing down your neck as you anxiously figure out what to do. I think the devs knew they couldn't get away with this system through the whole game, so bosses have a different way of taking them down. The stationary bosses are great. They have well-designed gimmicks based on what they can do, like rubber bands pushing you off course, or the tape making you have to move multiple tiles. Level design wise, I feel like this game gets really well. The areas are huge, especially playing this after the Thousand Year Door, where areas are more smaller corridor-like spaces. Curious if people prefer the more open gameplay or the linear approach. Also, a good compromise since the nature of this series could never go open world, so this is the closest we could ever get to that. Level structure wise, I would have put some space between the yellow and purple streamer. Both have a treasure map style mechanic, and whilst that is fine, if not a touch extra on the backtracking, having them back to back, it felt like they should have taken place in different orders. Bobby the Bobble has to be mentioned in this game. He has so much character like in the original trilogy, and I'm still not over his passing. You will be missed, friend. Another small detail I really like is how the enemies burst into confetti after being defeated. Very satisfying. Overall though, despite not liking regular battles, would say everything else is amazing and well worth a run through. It feels like it pays respect to its roots, whilst being something new. I just really hope we can get rid of those white outlines. Looking at the concept art for the Thousand Year Door remake, it looked like they were originally gonna bring that in. So glad they didn't. So that brings us to the now. On average, these games tend to release every 4 years, so it really won't be long until we get another one. Personally, I would love to see a merge of both old and new. Each series has had 3 installments, so it feels like this is the new chapter. Give us the unique characters, the actual party you can use in battles alongside the atmosphere and story from Super. However, from the modern games, give us the gorgeous vast areas, the witty dialogue in moderation, and the amazing live orchestral music. This series really is a legacy franchise, and being a huge fan of RPGs deserves to be mentioned up there with the greats. It being a spin-off shouldn't affect that. We can only hope that the next game lives up to the foundations it's already created. Thanks for watching to the end of this video. I kinda wanted to put my thoughts together on the series since it means so many things to so many people. This is the first time I've ever edited something on this scale, so I'd appreciate any kind of feedback on it, how it goes, how it is. I'm about to hit render on the video and I'm absolutely terrified. I just hope it comes out alright. But yeah, thanks for watching and goodbye.